If you ever find yourself holding a speck of dust that's worth more than the entire global economy combined, my first piece of advice is do not drop it. And my second piece of advice is don't even breathe on it.
Or life advice, Arnav. Also, maybe don't exist near it if you value your molecular integrity. Welcome back to Quark Talk, and today we're diving into the anti world. Everything that's anti, essentially. A place where everything is flipped, everything is expensive, and everything wants to explode the moment it touches you.
We're talking about antimatter. And while it sounds like it's some crazy sci-fi like fake story, it's been making some very real and very heavy headlines. Specifically on March 24th, 2026, just a few days ago actually, the team at CERN, it's the like I think the largest accelerator in the world. We've spoken about it multiple times in previous episodes. So the team at CERN did something that sounds like a sci-fi heist, kind of like the Mission Impossible, like steal the safe and run away, or like your Fast and Furious, they like tie the safe to the car and like. So they had a truck over here, so they put antimatter in a truck and then they drove it across the facility.
Yeah, it's basically like the ultimate do not shake this hazardous delivery. But before we get to the
Yes.
truck, we should probably explain what this stuff actually is. Like for people who don't spend their weekends reading particle physics journals.
Yeah, good idea, right?
Yeah.
So look at your hands, okay? They're made of matter, and matter is made of atoms, and atoms are made of three basic ingredients. And we're abstracting a bit here. We're not going to go into too much depth, like on the standard like model of particle physics which we
Yeah.
have spoken about earlier with like quarks and leptons and baryons and all that. But we'll just take the basic stuff of protons, neutrons, and electrons, which everyone has heard of in their basic chemistry classes or physics.
Yeah, and now try to imagine like a mirror universe version of all of these core fundamental ingredients that we have. Antimatter is identical to our regular matter in almost every way. It has the same mass, the same looks as well, except the electrical charges are just reversed.
Right. Instead of a positive proton, you have an antiproton, which is negative. So it's a negative proton. And now a negative proton is not an electron, it's an antiproton. And a negative electron is not a proton, it's a positron, which is positive. It's the
Yeah,
evil twin trope, but at a subatomic level.
the reason we call them evil twins is because they absolutely cannot stand being next to each other, right? When a particle of matter meets its antimatter counterpart, they undergo something we call as annihilation. Cool word, I know. They don't just bump into each other, they vanish and they turn 100% of their mass into pure energy. That's where
Yeah.
you can relate to E is equal to mc squared. All of that m is just turned into energy.
Yeah. Old Einstein coming back to clutch over here. I mean, and that explains why you said that it's the ultimate do not shake delivery, because
Yeah.
everything around us is matter, and antimatter is something that's very very hard to produce. I think it's cost, or like the expense to make 1 gram of antimatter is on the order of 62.5 trillion dollars. So it's the most expensive like substance that we have on earth. And so like we'll talk a bit more about what they did on the truck, but they moved 92 antiprotons. So I'm assuming that's going to be around a few maybe less than a few cents um in actuality, like of cost. But that's also because like 1 gram is going to have like I guess a lot of antiprotons. That's why.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways, the part where you said where they annihilate each other, right?
yeah.
That's the part that blows people's minds, right? It annihilates their minds as well. Think about it. If you and your anti-Pratham twin ever try to shake hands, you wouldn't be embarrassed by the mirror outfit. You'd release more energy than a nuclear bomb. It's the most efficient energy conversion in the known universe. Period.
Hmm.
Simple as that.
That makes me think, you know, a little differently. What if we call this like the great cosmic mystery and we
Okay.
think a little bit about the Big Bang. Like that was a massive annihilation, right? So if 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 that was possible, like if the Big Bang was real, then the universe should have created equal amounts of matter and antimatter, right?
Right. And it's as Thanos says, like perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Whoa, okay.
Like 50-50.
Yeah,
Um but if that had happened, then the universe would have annihilated itself instantly, right? If there were 50% antimatter and 50% matter, because
exactly.
each matter particle would annihilate itself and its like twin
Counterpart.
body antimatter particle, that's its counter, right? Exactly. So there would have just been a huge giant empty flash of light, and nothing would have existed, right? But here we are, sitting in chairs talking into microphones, and clearly matter has won the war, like Avengers Endgame beat Thanos. But yeah, we have no idea why like
And
that happened.
this is exactly why the folks at CERN's antimatter factory, like, this is the problem that they're trying to solve, right? It's the only place on the planet where we can actually manufacture, yes, manufacture some of these
Matter,
particles
yes.
and then, slow them down and maybe trap them.
Yeah, and that's the cool part, right? Like CERN is kind of cool like that. But but there's one small problem. This antimatter factory of sorts is it's a factory. It's full of giant magnets and massive accelerators like the anti-proton decelerator, or called it's called AD, and ELINA. These machines, like, which are huge, they're amazing, but they create a lot of magnetic noise, and that there's a problem that arises from that.
Yeah, I guess you can think of it as trying to record a delicate whisper with an extremely sensitive microphone in the middle of like a construction site.
Yeah, like
Yeah. There's this guy called Stefan Ulmer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's the spokesperson for the base experiment at CERN, and he said that these magnetic fluctuations are about a billionth of a Tesla. So the Tesla is, of course, named after Nikola Tesla, and
Nikola Tesla.
yes, and it is the unit which we use to measure magnetic field. And like Almor said, the fluctuations in the base experiment are about a billionth of a Tesla, which basically means that they are like
Yes, very small.
20,000 times smaller than the Earth's magnetic field, but they're enough to ruin the ultra precise measurements that the lab needs to make.
Yeah, and it's basically of a like a kind of a ghost of a magnetic pole. It's not even there. Basically, it's very
Yeah.
negligible, except it's not negligible. But for an antiproton, it's a total deal breaker, right?
Yeah, if they want to find the tiny microscopic difference between matter and antimatter that really explains why we exist, they need to get away from all of that noise and they need a quiet room, a really, really quiet room.
So this decided to take the show on the road. Enter Base Step. That's the machine that made history on March 24th. It's 1,000 kilogram, or just 1 ton,
Yeah.
apparatus designed to be a portable cage for antimatter. I think it's called a penning strap, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
We'll speak about that more. It's a high tech armored suitcase that weighs as much as a small car. So
and the best
it's
part
it's
is
it's cool.
it's not just heavy, it's freezing, right? To keep the antiprotons stable, they have to keep them basically in a superconducting magnet at a temperature that's below 8.2 Kelvin.
And for the non-scientists, or for like if anyone who doesn't know, 8.2 Kelvin is negative 265 degrees Celsius, because you convert by adding and subtracting 273.15
Kelvin.
from
Yeah.
degrees Celsius and Kelvin to like convert. So negative 265 Celsius. is the temperature. So like where you're at right now, it's probably going to be on the range of, I guess, 0 degrees. Like where I am right now, it is zero to maybe around up to maximum of like a 40 degrees Celsius, right? So a negative 265 really puts that into perspective of how genuinely cold that is and how close it is to absolute zero. It's only 8 Kelvin away. So that's colder than the surface of Pluto, by the way. So if the temperatures rise even a few degrees above that, then the magnet stops being super. It doesn't stay superconducting. The field drops, the antiprotons touch the wall of the container, and well, the truck becomes a very, very expensive firework.
So picture
Not
this. You have this 1 ton machine now, and inside you have like a vacuum better than the one in outer space that we've got. And you've got liquid helium keeping it at almost absolute zero temperatures. And you have 92, like Arnav said, 92 antiprotons floating in the middle of a magnetic field, and you try not to touch them to the sides over there.
I mean, as I said earlier, like I love that how they transferred it only 92 exactly. You know, it sounds like a tiny number because I mean, it's just 92 protons. Think about it. We are made of trillions, if not more than
More
that,
than
of
that. Yeah.
protons, like way more than that.
We're made of trillions of cells.
Of cells. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And each
exactly.
cell is made of like, I guess, billions of protons. Who knows? Like that we can calculate it, but that's besides the point, right? Now, 92 took a massive engineering miracle and they just had to move it across CERN. They didn't move it across like the planet or anything like that. And it's already a big deal, right? That one truck was a small step, but it's a huge step for mankind, you know?
Yeah, yeah. One
Yeah.
of one of the members of the base step team pointed out that they tested this with regular protons last year, but now doing it with antiprotons is basically like the real deal. It proves that they
Of
can
course.
finally export the most volatile substance in existence.
Damn, where can I buy some of this? What if I don't buy 1 gram of it. I just buy one singular antiproton. How much will that be? Who knows? What about the costs of delivering it? Even if they create it, what if I want it shipped to me? Who knows what the costs are gonna be? Anyways, that opens up a whole new world of collaboration. Right now, even if you want to study antimatter, you'd have to like either just like learn online, I guess, or learn from Cork Talk, very helpful podcast,
It is, it
or
is.
you'll have to pack your bags and move to Geneva, Switzerland, right? Because CERN's there.
Yes.
But now CERN can basically FedEx a cloud of antiprotons to other labs and be like, hey, okay, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Heinrich Heine University in Dusseldorf, you can have
Dusseldorf.
some of our antiprotons. Some for you, Chicago, maybe some for Stanford, like other universities, whatever. Like whoever wants some gets some, you know.
Yeah, like can you imagine that road trip? You'd be on the edge of your seat the whole time, being like, are we there yet? Or, whatever, because who knows, you might just delete the highway in the middle of your road trip.
Yeah, you'll be like, if you're asking me, Arnav, are we there yet? And I'll say, quite Pratham, the antiprotons are sleeping, and if they wake up, they'll delete the highway. So, like, exactly what you said, but I said it better.
Okay.
And by the way, it's an 8 to 10 hour drive to Dusseldorf. So to make that happen, they'll need a portable generator on the truck to power the cryo cooler the whole way. It's a literal life support system for those particles, and for the drivers and people nearby as well.
And the stakes couldn't be higher for this, right? They want to measure the intrinsic magnetic moment of the antiproton. They're basically checking to see if the antiproton spins exactly like a proton does, but in reverse.
Yeah, and moment is just like talk essentially. So even if it's and you said they are checking to see if the antiproton spins exactly like a proton does, but in reverse.
Mhm.
Thing is, even if it's a billionth of a person, that's 10 raised to negative 9 of a percent different, then we found a glitch in the matrix of sorts, you know? That's because we would have found the reason why there's a universe instead of there's nothing because of the antimatter matter annihilating each other in the start.
It's
Simple as
incredible that, these 92 tiny particles in the back of a truck might hold the answer to the biggest question in human history. It's like the ultimate unboxing video just waiting to happen in a lab in Germany somewhere.
yeah. What's up, guys? Today we're unboxing the fundamental secrets of the universe. We have these 92 antiprotons in this 1 ton cryogenic cooler that costs, I'm assuming, billions of dollars. And we're going to find out the secrets of the Big Bang. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe before we accidentally annihilate the local area or maybe the entire world. Who knows?
But keeping jokes aside, the technical specs of the base step are actually insane. It's compact enough to fit through a standard laboratory door, but it's strong enough to withstand the bumps and vibrations of a moving truck.
So you're saying it's good at wait, what is it? The suspension of the thing is good. So it's like you can use that ideology in cars, so you can get good cars, good suspension in cars. I guess, yeah,
Yeah, I
maybe.
mean it's ultra shock resistance, Ultra Pro Max
So it's
shock.
like a G-Shock watch.
Sure.
It's a Nokia.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That it is.
Yeah. So I wonder if the truck driver that drives this one
Uh-huh.
very important truck gets hazard pay, or if they just tell him, "Hey, don't hit any potholes, or you'll just become pure light, and everything around you will become pure light." Maybe.
What I think like is the coolest part is the vibration resistance. Usually these setups are so delicate that if you almost sneeze in the next room, the data gets wobbly. But to build a system that can handle like a gear shift and a sharp turn while keeping those 92 antiprotons suspended and in their place is like peak 2026 engineering.
Peak 2026 engineering. Nice. So now CERN director for research, whose name I will try to pronounce,
Oh my God.
um, Gautier Hamel de Monchnot, which I'm pretty sure is very wrong. The CERN director, called this the beginning of an era where humanity is going to make an exciting scientific journey. And I guess Pratham and we would agree on this because he's probably right? We're finally
Mhm.
moving from the era of making antimatter to the era of using antimatter in experiments. It's like a mobile laboratory tool now. It's like your usual lab chemicals, except it's not that yet, but it's very close to being that. It's closer than ever. Now that you can transport it safely and securely without exploding everything, it's great.
Yeah, it's a huge win for the base collaboration. They've held antiprotons for more than a year in their stationary traps, which is the world record, of course.
I
I
mean,
mean,
who else is trying?
exactly, exactly. But now they're showing that they can take that stability on the road as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it really makes you think about what's next, like we've made antiprotons, we've moved antiprotons. Now what? If we can move it across a facility, maybe we can move it across a country, then maybe we can talk about antimatter as a fuel for deep space travel because that is one theory where you can use antimatter propulsion technology for rockets in deep space.
One step at a time, Arnav. One step at a time. Right now, we're just trying to get to Dusseldorf without hitting like a massive traffic jam.
Yeah, right. Fair. I hope they have a backup generator and maybe some good road trip snacks.
Uh, Sure, I guess. That's the big news from the antimatter factory. 92 protons and sorry, 92 antiprotons, one truck, and a giant leap for physics.
So if you're near or around CERN in Switzerland, if you see a truck with a lot of cryogenic and high voltage and danger and stay away stickers on the highway, just maybe give them a little extra space. Don't
Just
let them
maybe.
hit any potholes or bumps or like don't crash into them because it'll be a bad experience. And we'll be keeping a very close eye on the base step team as they prepare for their long haul trip across Europe, and will be fun. It'll be fun.
And I will be keeping an eye on Arnav to make sure that he doesn't try to build a penning trap in his room.
Uh, I don't think I will, but maybe the magnets have been ordered from Amazon, so we'll see.